Ladies and gentlemen, if you're able, please stand for the Mayor.
Good evening, everyone. You may be seated. So thank you, everyone, and good evening. I'm Councillor James Lancaster, and I'm the Mayor of Milton Keynes. I'd like to welcome everyone attending this meeting of the Council or viewing it online. Can I ask that councillors ensure that the microphones are only engaged while speaking, and councillors be aware that they may be shown in the broadcast even when not speaking. Voting will either be by acclamation or a show of hands unless a recorded vote is required. We will now move on to the Council's business. And our first item tonight is procedural, and it is towards apologies. Chief Executive, are there any apologies?
Thank you, Mayor. We've received apologies this evening from Councillors Adewale and Middleton and Councillors McLean and Cahan for lateness. And we've got some apologies from Aldermen and Alderwomen, which we'll record in the notes.
Thank you. Councillor Marland.
Councillor Priestley.
Thank you. Okay, so item B relates to the minutes of the meeting. Sorry?
Councillor Khan as well. Naz Khan.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So moving on to item 1B, relates to the minutes of the meeting of the Council on the 18th of February. Can the minutes be signed as a correct record? Agreed. I will sign them at the end as a correct record. And disclosure of interest. Do any councillors wish to disclose, or officers, any interest that they may have on the items to be discussed tonight? I will take silence as a no. We'll move on to announcements. So, first one is the Easter holidays, which are fast approaching. And I wanted to remind everyone that the Council's programme of free activity sessions and meals for families with children in receipt of benefits and returns between the 7th and the 10th of April is going to be happening, and a huge range of indoor and outdoor activities will be on offer, most of which will also offer nutritious, healthy meals. And also, can I take the opportunity to wish everyone a peaceful and reflective Easter season. Also, with Ramadan, later this week, the holy month of Ramadan will end with an Eid al-Fitr. Over the last few weeks, I've really enjoyed visiting quite a number of iftar events across the city, and I'd also like to wish everyone Eid Mubarak when it arrives. I'd like to also extend a warm welcome to Mr. Yankuba Dabo, who is the chairman of the Brikama municipal area in the Gambia, who is visiting Milton Keynes and is watching from the gallery tonight. Welcome, sir, and we hope you enjoy your visit. We now move on to the CPC Review Report and City of Culture. The Local Government Association has today published the final report from our recent Corporate Peer Challenge, and we've also received news of the Council's City of Culture bid. I would like to now invite Councillor Marland, as leader of the Council, to briefly outline the outcome of the CPC Progress Review and update us on the City of Culture competition.
Thank you. The reason I'm doing this now is that it will save a cabinet agenda item in June, because it will just close off our original Local Government Association Corporate Peer Challenge. The good news is that the LGA, on their follow-up visit that took place late last month, is that they are still of the opinion that the Council is still a well-run authority, highly performing with a reputation for getting things done. Luckily, what they called commissioners reported a number of improvements, particularly around comms, our engagement with the voluntary and community sector, the Change Because We Have To programme, and our commitment to equalities, diversity and inclusion. I'd like to thank all members of staff, particularly the Chief Executive, for making sure that the action plan was implemented, and I would like to thank all members of the CPC team for the work that they've done, helping us improve Milton Keynes City Council even further. City of Culture. I'm very pleased, in a very circular type way, to report that Milton Keynes, alongside 8 other places in the United Kingdom, has been longlisted to move forward on the City of Culture 2029 bid. The Council has been awarded £60,000 and will now work with partners and other arts organisations to come up with a list of projects and events that could take place where the city to win. It's a great opportunity for Milton Keynes to highlight our uniqueness. The fact that there are 8 other towns and cities, 4 towns are on the list, which I think is interesting. But it's a really good opportunity for us. All those places are unique, but I think Milton Keynes has a brilliant story to tell, particularly, Milton Keynes is a new town, and the Development Corporation placed at its heart arts and culture, and as we celebrate our 60th birthday next year, to win a City of Culture for 2029 would be a fantastic birthday present. So I wish you all a great amount of luck in making sure that the city puts forward a fantastic bid, because I think we will win.
Thank you, Councillor Marland. Now moving on to, as you're all aware, this meeting does mark Councillor Marland's final council meeting as the leader of the council. It is therefore a fitting moment to reflect on and recognise his 12 years as leader of dedicated service to the role. I understand that group representatives and one of our local MPs would like to speak briefly in acknowledgement of Councillor Marland's period as leader of the council. I have at the moment Councillors Townsend, Hopkins and J. Carr. Are there any others? Okay, I've also got on the list local MP, Chris Curtis MP, but I will take it in the order on my paper, which is Councillor Townsend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's a bit surreal this evening that this is the last time that we will sit here in this chamber. You became leader in 2014. I met you in 2018. I became a councillor in 2019. I just think that your service to this city has been phenomenal. Under your tenure, all of our services as a council are rated good or better. You've steered this council with steady hands through economic uncertainty, a global pandemic, the death of the Queen, 6 prime ministers. We've gained city status in that time. We've grown in that time. We've delivered health centres and school expansions and community centres. I think that what stands out to me is your support for people on an individual basis. You don't come across as the softest or the warmest person. You bury that deep down, but it's there, and it's there when it matters. I was a waitress when we met, and a recently striking worker, and I'd found a fire for politics in my belly, and did not think I could stand and be a politician for local government, and did not think I would be sat here today as deputy leader now. And you were an incredible support throughout. Again, not always vocally. I remember sitting down once when I was brought into the cabinet and saying, "You never give me any feedback, I don't know what to do." And you were like, "If I'm not giving you feedback, it means you're doing a good job." And I took that away as praise. You have a fantastic sense of humour, which I think a lot of people recognise you for, often quite dark, but you need that to get through, I think, in local government and in the political world in general. You've been a massive advocate for equalities in the council. I mean, we have 50% of our group are women. We are one of the youngest councillors by average age in the country, which I think is phenomenal. 50% of the cabinet is women. We were one of the first councils in the country to introduce kind of maternity-paternity leave for councillors, which was a huge step, I think. And actually, I was contacted by other councillors after that happened, and I went on maternity leave with people wanting to know what exactly we adopted, could they adopt it in their authorities. You are known nationally as a champion for local government. You are used and utilised a lot by the LGA to go in and support other councils who are not necessarily as well run or financially stable or high performing as we are. And I think that says a lot about your skill set in this role, and you will be greatly missed. You've also been a vocal advocate for equalities and standing up for the disenfranchised and little guy outside of just the council chamber and your council colleagues. You've been outspoken in your support of LGBTQ plus rights. You've been a trans ally staunchly. You've continuously supported having the pride flag up outside the the civic officers. You've been vocal against violence against women and girls, making sure that we became a white ribbon city under your leadership. I know that there's other people who want to speak this evening, so I won't go on too much longer, but I just think the way that you've put Milton Keynes on the map, not even just nationally, but globally, like we are asked to speak at conferences now, kind of from our planning department and our growth, and we are like the standout vision of a new town and now a new city. And a large part of that is down to you and your vision and your bravery in taking things forward. We've become a testbed for new technologies, you know, from delivery robots to autonomous shuttles, to driverless pods. We are somewhere where people know they can come and they can try out new things. And I think that's fantastic. And now we're on the long list for City of Culture. So thank you for everything you've done in your tenure for the city, for the residents of this city, for the people in this room, and for me as well, and I'll let other people speak.
Thank you, Councillor Townsend. Councillor Carr, please.
Oh, Pete. Oh, Pete. You're really hating this, aren't you? Yeah! Because whilst he has the limelight, it's not his favourite place. And so I intend to make this as painless as I possibly can. But firstly, I'd like to say a personal thank you. Because when I've needed it, you've been there. And that matters. To be clear, I'm not happy that he's going, but because he stayed. He ran the course. He did the job. So I'm really happy about that. I'm really pleased for him for that. And I think that tells you a lot about the man. I once commented when ringing him over something that I was sorry to bother him, as I thought he was having a day off, and he simply replied, "I don't get time off." And it's oh so true. And that to me says it all about who he is and what he is and how he values the job that he's had to carry. Leading a group and then leading a council is no simple job. Both require tenacity, time and dedication. To lead a council for 12 years is a significant achievement, but it's even more worthy to leave a council deemed to be a well-performing and financially aware at a time when local government is struggling and becoming increasingly more challenging. Of course, we worked closely, joined the partnership and then later in the Progressive Alliance, and those years showed what can be achieved when parties are willing to work together in a constructive, dynamic way to get things done. I recently had the pleasure of speaking to Alderman Douglas McCall, and he particularly wanted me to pass on his thanks and best wishes. As he says to me, Pete's a pragmatist, so anyone will look outside of the party politics, it's him, and he'll see what needs to be done. And I have respected that too. So thank you, Pete. Whilst we may not always agree on absolutely everything, and let's be clear, party politics doesn't necessarily mean we do always agree, we have demonstrated that cooperation and respect can deliver for our residents and for our parties. We have demonstrated that cooperation and respect can deliver for everyone. And there's a message there that I want to carry forward. For running a city council inevitably means making difficult decisions. Decisions you don't always want to make, decisions you don't necessarily like. But throughout the period that we've worked together, we have seen collaboration can provide stability and help ensure Milton Keynes remains a well-run, high-performing council. 12 years is a long time to dedicate to leading a council. In that time, we've seen Pete shave his head, grow a beard, make trainers and suits fashionable, and he's also seen off a lot of other group leaders. But he's also been creating a city and supporting a change in attitudes towards councillors. And one of the things that always impressed me was Pete was not embarrassed to bring his son into the council chamber when childcare was a problem and sit him under his desk and let him play there for a while till childcare arrived. And that changed this council. It changed the way we thought about councillors. Pete's knowledge, his experience, and I think it's fair to say his very northern sense of humour will be missed across this chamber. I personally will miss him for, in my opinion, he leaves this chamber in a much better place than when we both arrived. Council will have heard me say before that true dedication comes not just from the person doing the job, but also for those who put up with us at home. I hope his family will be pleased to have him back, but only for a while. At any rate, as I expect and hope, we will see him around now and again, around and about, doing the stuff that Pete does best. So on behalf of our group, I'd like to thank him for his service, and we wish you success in your next move, which we'll be watching with interest. And to his family, we offer our very best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Hopkins, please.
Thank you very much indeed, Mayor. Mayor, we are witness to the end of an era. What can one say? In my many years of talking with and listening to Pete, I did feel our politics, probably with a small p, were not far removed from one another, both being based in a common sense approach to local government and a desire in everything we do to get the best for Milton Keynes. And on that theme, Pete has been an extraordinary ambassador for our city. Pete has held his group together, and indeed a coalition group together with Liberal Democrat colleagues, with exemplary skill. However, we'll never know what went on behind closed doors. He led the council to achieving city status, taking us on to the next level nationally and internationally. The city owes him a debt of gratitude, and I do not envy whoever follows him, as he will be, as they say, a hard act to follow. But I suspect we've not heard the last of Pete Marland locally. Far from it. Mayor Marland, or even Lord Marland, who knows? Both would be very possible, and in either case, the city would be in safe hands. But now, Mayor, I had considered relating some anecdotes relating to my time and interactions with Councillor Marland, some from my period as the then Borough Mayor, some as group leader, and some more general, but then this would become little more than a hybrid best man speech. So I thought I'd try a more predictable approach. Pete Marland hails from Liverpool. He once told me his mother knew John Lennon. I always thought there was resemblance. Mayor, as I'm sure you know, the most iconic and beloved food for Liverpudlians is scouse, a hearty stew made from lamb or beef, potatoes, carrots and onions. Fancy some now, actually. And it is deeply rooted in the city's maritime history. It is so popular that it has given locals their nickname. So, Pete, I have for you here a Scouse passport, essential for your safe return home, and we'll close by drawing on a selection of song titles from the compositions of Liverpool's most famous sons. Colleagues under 60 won't have a clue what I'm referring to, so bear with me, and here we go. We're going to play Beatle Bingo. Pete, it's been a long and winding road. Mayor, I remember when Pete first started in this place, it was a hard day's night, and we were working like a dog. Personally, I was basically a nowhere man, a bit of a fool on the hill, some might say, just trying to make it through the week. But honestly, we seemed to get by with a little help from our friends. Having made your mark, and by then negotiating with council managers, you demanded money. And that's what you wanted, but quickly learned that they would never give you your money, but placated you with the reassurance that somehow we can work it out. When things got stressful, Pete, I saw you had to stop yourself from becoming a mean Mr. Mustard. That's from Abbey Road, by the way. You learned that tomorrow never knows, and that you should just let it be. Now you're ready to drive your car towards new adventures. MK City Council has been here, there, and everywhere, but I've got a feeling it's time for you to get back to a new, less stressful, but more rewarding life. Even when you're 64. You will remember this place. So I'll say hello, goodbye, take a day in the life as it comes, and remember that in the end, the love change is equal to the love you make. All you need is love, Pete. Here comes the sun. So thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Always great when we hear from you, Councillor Hopkins. And now we'd like to invite Chris Curtis MP to speak. Chris, there is a microphone just at the back for you to use.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I have significantly fewer Beatles references, I must say. And thank you for allowing me to contribute this evening. Now, Pete has a slightly different recollection to me about the first time we met, but mine is that I first met Pete shortly after he took control of the council in 2014 as a spotty university student who had been eating Domino's pizzas for much of the recent months, campaigning out for the local Labour Party. And over the 12 years that he's run the council, some things have not changed very much. Back then, a sprightly Wolverton councillor was pushing for a brighter future for the Wolverton Agora, something I'm sure he'll do again later this evening. And I'm sorry to say to Councillor Khan that one thing that is consistent over those 12 years is that suits and trainers are still not fashionable. But over that period, a great many things have changed. That same councillor, now a little bit less sprightly, with a few more grey hairs in his beard. And our city has changed considerably too, much of it down to his leadership. Well, for one, we're now a city, one with a very different public perception right across the country, and certainly where I now work, down in Westminster. No longer seen through the cliches of roundabouts and concrete cows. As Pete will say, though, we should never be ashamed of being somewhere that's known for good infrastructure and decent public art. But now we're also known for our booming economy, the 13th largest in the country, attracting investment from all over the world. We've grown. Nearly 1 in 5 families this morning woke up in a home built during Pete's leadership. Around 5,000 new affordable homes have been delivered, giving those who live in them the security and dignity that comes with having a decent roof over their heads. And what's always mattered to Pete is that Milton Keynes doesn't just grow, but grows well. We've managed to deliver infrastructure alongside that expansion. New schools, GP surgeries, beautiful green spaces, and a determination to keep faith with those values that made this place, the place where I grew up, so special. And let's be honest, all of this has been happening against a backdrop of 12 very difficult years for local government. Councils right across the country, and I speak to many of my colleagues in Westminster about this often, have been pushed to the brink by funding cuts and the consequences of a global pandemic. Services people rely on have disappeared in towns and cities right across our country. But here in Milton Keynes, under Pete's leadership and the leadership of many public servants in this room, we have fought against that tide. We've opened more libraries than we've closed. We've protected family centres and leisure centres that have disappeared elsewhere. As local MPs, past and present, we have worked with Pete to help secure funding for a new women's and children's hospital. And through his vision, Milton Keynes is now part of the New Towns programme, helping to shape the future of our city for decades to come. Now, politics can be a rough business. It is rarely glamorous and never easy, particularly in difficult financial times. Mistakes get made, and yes, the occasional swear word may even get used to when it shouldn't. But the real measure of public service is not the speeches made or the rows in this room, sometimes with Councillor Geary. It's the lives that are quietly better because somebody chose to dedicate their life to public service. It's the mum in one of our family centres this morning getting the support she needs to give her young one the best possible start in life. It's the child taking out their first library book in one of the libraries that the people in this room kept open, learning to fall in love with reading. It's the older residents keeping active and connected to the local leisure centres that Pete has managed to keep open. It's the families finally keep getting the keys to one of those safe and secure homes that Pete built before it was fashionable to prioritise the building of new homes. So, Councillor Marland, thank you for your service, your determination and your belief in our city. You have helped leave behind a place more confident, more caring and more full of possibility. And whatever you go on to next, hopefully with a job that provides you with a proper pension. That is something I hope you're always deeply proud of, and I'm sure we as a city, as a council, always will be too. Thank you.
Councillor Marland, for the final time, would you like to address the council?
I'm going to speak on the Agora, but yes. Don't finish me yet.
I'm only reading the script.
I'll just take you off the list of mayors I've got to thank later. Thank you all. When the Deputy Mayor of Bedford did this at the South Midlands authorities, I did say it's a little bit like listening to your own eulogy, and that was excruciating for me over and over again. Thank you, Jane. I very much like working with you. Lauren, you know how much I value you and all your support that you give me as Deputy Leader. My family would kill me if I didn't point out that I'm a woollyback because of the fact that my dad had to get a job in the, how do I describe the arse end of nowhere without saying the arse end of nowhere? In rural East Lancashire in the 1980s. I'm the only one in my family not born in Liverpool. And I recently did an ancestry DNA test. The irony of me being leader of Milton Keynes City Council is that I am 84% Northern and 16% Scandinavian. I literally shared more genetic material than Norway than I do with the south of England, which again is quite interesting. But yeah, my mum worked for NEMS, and for those that don't know, NEMS was the company that Brian Epstein owned, and she worked in the fashion division. So it is interesting how often things go full circle, isn't it? I mean, and thanks, Chris, for mentioning my grey beard. There's a story about that. After a group meeting about 6 months ago, Councillor Hussain came up to me and said, I stopped dyeing my beard during COVID. To which I said, thank you, Ansel, I've never dyed my beard ever. But thank you, that's what leadership does to you. Well, a lot of those speeches were fantastic, but I don't think I've delivered any of that. And so I think I'm just going to thank people for 12 years. But the place has changed drastically. I'm very proud that we're a well-run council. I'm very proud that we are recognised as being highly performing. It's interesting when people say, you know, how do you know what good looks like? When I first became a councillor, I think it's that sort of understanding that Milton Keynes was fine, the council was okay, but I think there was, you know, that recognition that we were a big city now. You know, we are a city of nearly then we were a city of nearly 300,000 people. I've done my best to make sure that we're a city over 300,000 people. But we are better now, but we're better because you as councillors, but us as a city, sort of recognised we had to take that step forward, we had to take that step up, we had to become more professional as an organisation, but also more strident as a city, not be so defensive, not be so brittle, but get out on the front foot and tell people what a great place this is. It is a team effort. Council, I often say to people when I'm giving training, councillors deliver nothing. Everything that is delivered in this council and for this borough are delivered by officers, and therefore what I would like to put on record, you know, my thanks to all our staff in Milton Keynes City Council. They deliver for our residents day in, day out, making sure that people get social care, making sure children are looked after, making sure children are protected from harm, filling potholes, one every 12 minutes apparently. All of those things, whether they are our contractors, whether they are our service providers, whether those people work directly for us, it is a team effort, and I thank all of them. There is a story that Jeff Snelson, who was formerly Director of Policy and Performance, I think Jeff was, who I went to China with him a long time to sort of take our knowledge about growing cities to China, and I sat next to him on the flight out, and on the flight back, he said to me, I'm not sitting next to you on the way home, I've booked you a ticket further up the plane. And I said, oh, why, Jeff? He said, because I sat next to you for 12 hours on the way here, and you gave me so many good ideas about what you want to do for Milton Keynes, I don't need to sit next to you on the way home. Thank you very much. I want to put, again, my thanks to the two main chief executives I've worked with during my time. Carol Mills, talk about that step up, getting a chief executive who had worked in a city like Derby, just helped me understand what good looks like, helped take effectively this council from being well run in some respects, but run like a district council, up to being the standard of a city, and a big city at that. But also to Michael, without Michael telling me when I was being slightly too bold, or brave, or all those words officers use. Michael doesn't use them. Michael tells me I'm being stupid, or I shouldn't do that. The relationship between a chief executive and a leader is complex, but none of this, very little of the cultural change in the organisation, very little of the delivery would have been possible without Michael as chief executive. I want to thank all of CLT and Democratic Services for everything they do, but in particular Sharon. Again, Lauren mentioned the work I go and do, helping other leaders decide that they don't want to be leaders anymore. But having a good monitoring officer and having a good head of Democratic Services is massively underrated, and Sharon is hugely underrated in this council, and you should absolutely make sure that she stays and absolutely make sure that she keeps giving you the sensible, safe guidance, but pragmatic guidance that not many lawyers do. I'd like to thank all the leaders of the opposition, remarkably, but in particular Douglas and strangely Alex. I think Alex did a fantastic job of leader of the Conservatives, particularly during COVID. He was a dynamic force and actually kept me on my toes for a lot of the time that I was leader of the council. And I think any yin needs a yang. And although one of my former deputies might say she is the yin to my yang, and I actually think that Alex is probably the yin to my yang in driving this city forward. So I hope you'll pass that on to him. He was also instrumental with me because he understood, working not in Milton Keynes, he understood the value of things like political assistance to make sure that good decisions are made in local authorities. So I want to thank the Conservative political assistants, but obviously I want to thank Emily, Sam, Heather and Charlotte, who took on a really difficult role after Sam left. But the advice and support that you give me and the Cabinet, we would not absolutely be the city that we were and the leadership team that we are without you. I want to thank all my Cabinet members, past and present, particularly my group. They've not always been helpful to keep in line, and some of them know that just a stare now does, and just a bit of silence actually helps, but you can get them to that point, don't worry, other leaders or prospective leaders in the room. But I just want to say particularly a thank you to colleagues that aren't here, Brian, Kevin and Carol from my own side. People will know it's not hard to be a leader, and just having the ability to ask people questions, whether they'd been an MP or a long-serving councillor like Kevin, but also the pragmatic advice of Carol. And obviously I can't sort of go without mentioning Robin and all the support he gave and his pragmatic leadership as well during his time as deputy leader of this council, and how he helped push this council forward as well. I want to thank my ward colleagues, Norman, Ansar and Rob, who's really upset that he can't be here tonight to vote on the Agora that he tried and pushed so hard to do. I want to thank my deputies, Hannah, Emily and in particular Lauren, who has done a sterling job holding a very difficult brief. But to Hannah, who was my friend before I was leader and will hopefully now be my friend after I'm leader, thank you for those difficult 7 years. I wasn't always the most easy colleague to get on with, but as you have often said, you are my heart to where I am mainly driven, at least in public, by my head. To those outside of Milton Keynes, particularly my colleagues on the LGA, Morgan, Pete and Sharma. Morgan went on to bigger and brighter things, but is currently having a career break, I believe. Thank you to all of them, and particularly Petra, Martin and Amber, who are currently in the Labour LGA group office. To all the former mayors, past and present, you did a fantastic job of keeping all you guys in line. And lastly, sort of in the thanks to my family, Herrick is in the audience. I think one of the stories that he loved me telling, particularly to his school, was the last time he came to a meeting. I think it was a delegated decision. Halfway through me speaking, he shouted, "Is this the end of the boring meeting, Daddy?" He's come tonight. When I said, "Are you going to come tonight to my last council meeting?" He said, "No." He's obviously got something to do on the switch too. And I said, I might get angry at some Tories and I'll buy you Dominoes after. And he said, all right then. So that is a promise, and I absolutely intend to fulfil this evening. I don't have anything to say about what I've delivered. I think people can eulogise all they want. It is absolutely a team effort. I just have some principles that I've always worked to. The first is just leave everything in life better than you found it. I hope that you can all agree that sort of like the council and the city is in a better place than we found it. I think it doesn't always come across, but it is absolutely true, particularly in challenging political times, that I think you can agree to disagree. You can always agree that what you are arguing for is what you think is best, and you can do that with integrity, you can do it with dignity, and hopefully you can always do it with a bit of humour as well. And the drier you keep the humour and the less people notice it, to me that is absolutely better, because that makes me feel much more intelligent than anybody else in the room, and that's obviously what drives me forward. I'm just going to leave with one more thing that maybe will generate a laugh. Thank you for all your Beatles references. My political assistant, when we said that the person that had made the statue outside of the Four Graces in Liverpool, and we were going to go and see it because that's going to be unveiled on Tuesday. The artist that did the statue in Liverpool also did the statue of the Beatles, and Charlotte said, "Who are the Beatles?" And I said, "Do you not know the names of the Beatles?" And she said, "Yeah, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John." And I said, I think they are perhaps evangelists of a different kind. I genuinely think that with the City of Culture bid, with everything that we are doing as a city, it would be easy to go on. It is right to stand down. I personally believe all leaders in any authority, in any role, should be time limited. I think 12 years is long enough. Just culturally, it's good practice to move on and let somebody else do it. But the best days of this city are not behind us. The best days of this city are always ahead of us. We should always be on the front foot. We should always be looking to represent what our residents want, because what our residents want fundamentally never changes, and that is an opportunity to get on in life, a good home to live in, and a healthy life. They are very basic principles to stand to. I genuinely believe the best days of this council are ahead of us, the best days of this city are ahead of us, and I wish my successor luck, whoever she may be.
Thank you, Councillor Malland. You looked very comfortable right then. So, moving on to the next part of the meeting, item 2 is public involvement with petitions. As usual, all petitions and questions received have been published on the Council's website. Chief Executive, have any petitions been received from members of the public?
Yes, we have got one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I understand that it will be Councillor Brown who will be introducing the first petition. Is that correct? You have up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a joy to be presenting this position after that speech. I'm sorry to bring you all crashing back down to earth. All of us in this council will know that our residents consider road safety to be one of their top priorities, and as part of our regular door knocking across the area of Neath Hill, where we've knocked on everyone's house at least 3 times in the last year, lots of people have mentioned the speed that people drive around the estate and that they would like to bring it down. As such, we have collected over 150 household support so that the roads around the local centre, the schools, the sheltered housing and care home can be a safer place for people to walk around and live their lives. We would like to give particular credit to the campaigners, local residents and parish councillors who've been raising this issue and campaigning on it for a number of years, and we look forward, once this is hopefully put in place, to improving other road safety measures with the council.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Wilson-Marco, will you be responding on behalf of the council? And if you are, you have up to 3 minutes.
I am responding on behalf of council. I find it quite disconcerting when it's not David, Councillor Hopkins, presenting a 20-mile-an-hour petition. So you'll forgive me for needing a minute just to kind of pull myself back together. Thank you very much for representing your residents so well. It's really great when we're out talking to residents to be able to come back and actually do something that will make a difference to them. I'll be very happy to take your petition to Highways and look at what we can do with it.
Thank you. Councillor Brown, do you wish to comment on the response?
Mere thanks to Councillor Wilson-Marco for taking this forward.
Lovely, thank you. So we'll now move on to questions from the Youth Council. The total time set aside for this will be 10 minutes. Chief Executive, have any questions been received from the members of the Youth Council?
Yes, Mayor, I've received one question this evening, which will be asked by John T. Pence.
Thank you. As a reminder, questions asked by members of the Youth Council are collectively agreed by and asked on behalf of the Youth Council. So when I call you to ask your question, please introduce yourself briefly. You will then have 1 minute to ask your question, and any supplementary questions must be related to the original question or reply and should not be a statement. So, John T., will you please ask your question?
Thank you, Mayor. The Youth Council carried out a mental health survey in 2023 with 844 young people responding. Of those, 38% rated their mental health at a 5 out of 10 or below. Young people told us that they often struggle to access early support, meaning that their needs escalate to crisis before help is available. One young person reported beginning self-harm at the age of 8 years old. We understand that children's mental health services are not delivered by Milton Keynes City Council, but how will the Council work with its partners and the ICB to improve the accessibility of intervention mental health support for young people in Milton Keynes?
Thank you, John T. Councillor Henshaw, can you please respond to the question?
Absolutely, and thank you, John T, for your question. It's an incredibly important topic. The challenges that many of our young people are facing in their lives is nationally recognised, and it is with sadness that we acknowledge a number of our local young people are also struggling with mental health concerns. As a council, we have continually highlighted the importance of supporting our children and young people's emotional health and their well-being, and across our partnerships, we work hard to equip parents, professionals and partners to understand what help may be available for young people should they be struggling with their mental health. The council will be aware that, the Youth Council will be aware that BLMK ICB is transitioning into a larger Central East ICB. Early in our discussions with the new ICB and their provider services, we will continue to highlight the importance of supporting our children at an early stage and at a local level. And via our MK Together partnership, we have continually highlighted children and young people's mental health as one of our local priorities, and through the partnership mechanism that is available to us, we'll continue to promote this as a priority. And I'm very pleased that the recent published education white paper in relation to SEND and school inclusion highlights the importance for children and young people to have access to enrichment activities within school. This is planned to help support young people with the resilience they need to face challenges, and also how to equip them to make good decisions in relation to physical and mental health. As we engage with the health reforms and the new children's social care and education reforms, I can assure everyone here that children's and young people's mental health will be at the forefront of our priorities. However, as confirmed in the question, as a council, we neither manage mental health services or are resourced to do so, nor do we have the clinical governance to do so. But we will continue to do all we can to influence health services within our city to improve the accessibility and receipt of children's mental health services at an earlier stage. I'd also very much support and encourage too, if the Youth Council wants to also write to the ICB and its successor with us. So thank you for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Henshaw. John T, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Following the closure of the Young People's Sanctuary and ongoing concerns about the funding and future sustainability of preventative services such as CHUMS, how will the Council work with health partners and the voluntary sector to ensure that early help for 8 to 16-year-olds remains available, adequately funded and easy to access before their needs reach crisis point?
Councillor Earnshaw.
Thank you again. Services will continue to review how effective our preventative services are within the city, and as a council, we consistently work with health partners, the voluntary sector and others to ensure early help supports for 8 to 16-year-olds is both accessible and effective. We'll continue to review this through our scrutiny process and assurance activities to help promote the availability of an early help offer for young people. It will consistently be important, however, to remind young people and their parents that should they be concerned in relation to their mental health, that GP services should be utilised where surgeries are able to give both good local advice as well as being able to signpost to relevant and appropriate services that may help to meet children and young people's mental health needs.
Thank you. I will now move on to questions from the public. The total time set aside is limited to 30 minutes. Chief Executive, have we any questions been received from members of the public?
I don't think...
No.
We have received one question from Anne Darrell, but I don't think she's with us this evening.
Okay, so in that case, we will make sure that an answer will be given to Anne in writing. I will now move on to item 3, which is reports from Cabinet and committees. And item 3A is a referral of the regeneration of the former Agora Centre in Wolverton. As the report includes a number of exempt annexes, the Council will need to resolve to exclude the public and press for this item, but we will only move into private session if there are councillors who have questions about or wish to speak on annexes B, C, D or E, in a way that requires the disclosure of the information contained in them. Should this happen, I will ask those not entitled to be present to leave the meeting for an agreed period before rejoining. The YouTube broadcast will be paused during this time. On that basis, I will move that the public and press are excluded in respect of item 3A. Deputy Mayor, will you second?
Formally, Mayor.
And do any councillors wish to dissent or abstain from excluding the public and press? I will take silence that they're okay with that. Then the councillors agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, so do we have any from the press or here and the public? No, okay. So, Councillor Townsend, as a relevant Cabinet member, would you please move the recommendation?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Apologies for those of you who attended the Cabinet meeting, because this is going to feel like a repeat, but that's just how things work in local government. We have hoops to jump through before we can get over the line. This is, however, the last hoop now, so like we're there, it feels like we're like this close. We do obviously need to say thank you to Councillor Middleton and obviously to Councillor Marland for being the ones who kind of started this project. We acquired the Agora site from a private developer who was unable to create a viable scheme moving forwards. The Agora was somewhat of a alien piece of architecture in the middle of Wolverton, which is a lovely Victorian, railway town. And we are delighted actually with the scheme that is being brought forward now, which will help to reinstate some of the little streets, reconnect Radcliffe Street, make sure that it's really, really well connected through the town, but also offer value for money for local residents. There have been delays. There have been delays for a couple of reasons. When the original decision was taken, the initial scheme was brought forward, we were going through a period somewhat of economic uncertainty, and a lot of construction schemes actually nationally have stalled, and the majority of those haven't even moved forward actually at this stage. So I think it's something we're really, really proud of, that we've continued to push forward on this. It is a regeneration scheme. It's not a commercial scheme. It's going to see 115 new homes built in Wolverton. It's going to see 9 new retail units that the council will have the ability to charge below market rents on, to attract new independents and local businesses to the area, to see Wolverton kind of high street scene thriving again. Of those 115 units, we are delighted that 29 of them are being done in collaboration with Still Green, so those are co-housing units for the over 50s. Mixed generation living is incredibly important to us. Wolverton is a vibrant area that benefits from a lot of younger families moving in, a lot of people who've been there for 40, 50, 60 years, and it's going to be great to have some new families, old and young, moving into the area. The other thing that caused issues around getting it off the ground was the Building Safety Act, and I know that there's been a few comments over kind of some changes to the design of the scheme. That is because of the Building Safety Act 2022. Things like the microgrid, for example, we had to remove
seconds.
because of issues around fire safety with batteries being in such close proximity to homes. The value for money we're going to get on this scheme is strong. For every £1 we invest, we're going to get £1.11 back. We're just really, really excited to take this forward, and tonight I'm asking for you to approve the borrowing for this scheme. It is 76.8 million all in that will be invested. That includes the sunk costs, around £10 million already. But the independent consultants that we brought in have said that we are going to get £83 million value back, and it will have washed its own face within about 44 years. So this is good investment, regeneration for Wolverton. The town deserves it. As a Wolverton resident, I can't wait. And I would like everyone to agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah, and I will speak during the debate.
Thank you. Chief Executive, I understand that we have some public speakers on this motion.
Yes, Mayor, we've got 5 members of the public registered this evening: Andy Forbes, Karen Parr IC, James King, Claire Scott, Margaret Newens / Nicola Hubbard, and if there's time, Marie Osborne.
Thank you. I will start with Andy Forbes. Will you please introduce yourself? And once you have done, you will have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Andy Forbes. I moved to Wolverton at the age of 23 as a single young man, got married, 4 married children who all live around us in Wolverton, 9 grandchildren. I run the biggest food bank in the city, run a large lunch drop-in, chair of the police forum for the north and west of the city, and a governor for Milton Keynes Hospital, etc. Live in the community, love the community, just love Wolverton. Sorry, yeah, so 3 minutes, is that right? Off you go. When I spoke last time, I bought Thomas the Tank Engine, because we're a railway town, and all of our children read Thomas the Tank Engine. So I'm bringing Thomas and Friends today, because we need a little help from our friends, which is quite true. And in the middle of the book is an empty chapter that needs colouring in. The plans are all done, but it needs to be done. And Martin Ellison for Listed Buildings, we own 2 of the oldest listed buildings in Wolverton. Martin said to me, there's preservation, buildings that need preserving. There's conservation, a conservation area that needs conserving. But he said you mustn't lose sight of the fact you need to tell a story, that actually the town needs to move forward. And the history of Wolverton is a proud railway town. I'm not going to spend time on that because you know it. Just to say that my neighbour, when I moved in at 23, was in his 90s. He was the baker's boy at the age of 12, and the cart horse knew the route around the whole of Wolverton, and he delivered door to door. So much for computers. A cart horse did it in the 1920s. We are racked with history, steeped in it. Where are we today? We've got the Agora knocked down. We've got the trees taken down. The parking does remain a serious concern in the middle of it. But we need to get to the future. We need to write the new chapter. We need to regenerate Wolverton. That is our plea today, because across the town, people really do want to see Wolverton move into the future. I want to finish by saying I have got knee surgery coming up next week, where I get a new titanium knee, which after it's done, I will be able to leap tall buildings with a single bound or something like that. But it's a painful surgery. It will take 3 months recovery with physio and all the rest. But actually, it will be worth it. It will make a huge difference. It will be painful to regenerate Wolverton, but it will be worth it. And to finish with a vision, the square opened up, shops, restaurants, coming all the way down to Church Street, joining back originally, running both sides down Church Street, going down Creed Street, going down Stratford Road, with parking for 4 hours, then free to stop all the commuters, etc. And all of a sudden, the town's a place to go. It can be regenerated. But the old and the new, like titanium and a bit of old arthritic bone, need to be put back together, and we can change everything. It's time to write the final chapter. Okay.
Thank you, Andy. Next, can I ask Karen Parisi to please introduce herself, and you also have 3 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Karen Parisi and I'm a business owner in Wolverton and I've been there for over 30 years. In fact, my business is located opposite the Agora site. My daily view is a dirty green hoarding that's heavily graffitied. Since the demolition of the site, footfall in Church Street has declined. The closing of the thoroughfares from the square to Church Street means that people have to walk the long way around the town, thus bypassing most of Church Street. We've already lost our fabulous pet shop and Mrs B's, and we've just lost Nanji's, one of our lovely little restaurants. It's only a matter of time before other businesses, including my own, will close down. Wolverton was once a thriving town and could be again. This regeneration will bring new shops, more people, and it will also reunite the square with the rest of the town instead of separating it. We need the council to support the scheme and allow the town to flourish rather than die as it is at the moment. So really, on behalf of all the businesses that I represent, we would really appreciate you to give the go-ahead for this regeneration of our lovely town. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. James King, please. Please introduce yourself, and again, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm James King. I'm a local resident living in Wolverton. I'm also director of a landscape and urban design business and have over 20 years experience in regeneration projects across the UK that have had many of the same challenges as the Agora project. I'm not involved with the project, simply here to show my support as a local resident. I was absolutely delighted when I first saw the quality of the proposals and the calibre of the design team that were working on the designs. In my opinion, this is exactly the level of quality that is needed to kickstart regeneration. And that is the key point. This is a regeneration scheme, not simply a housing project, and that it is really important nuance that you see it that way. The project is trying to unpick a lot of the damage that was done by the Agora Centre in terms of connectivity, the historic street pattern, the walkability of the town, the legibility of shop frontages, and all the key elements that go into making a successful and coherent town centre. In my opinion, the new commercial units are as important as the new homes. Our town desperately in need of a major injection of quality amenities, shops, cafes, etc., that would encourage residents to actually spend time and money in the town and reduce the need to get in your car and drive into central Milton Keynes or to Stoney or Newport Pagnell. I feel that since this proposed scheme has been talked about the last 7-8 years, that Wolverton's actually gone downhill. We've lost some really good businesses, as we just said. There's now very little to draw people into the town, and we're in danger of more businesses leaving, and I think when they leave for good. You contrast that with Stoney and Newport Pagnell, they seem to be thriving. Bletchley is now seeing major regeneration. I feel that Wolverton is being left behind, and that's because the Agora is delayed in terms of its regeneration. If Wolverton is to fulfil its potential and become a place where people want to live and spend time, then this project needs to start immediately. My understanding is there is a full package of design drawings and an agreed contract price with a contractor who can start on site within weeks. And whilst the costs have gone up from my work on similar projects, I can advise that if you don't go with this scheme today, the costs will only go up further, and there will be a long period of further delays, and therefore it's not just the financial impact to consider, but also the cost of the social impact on the local community. If there are further delays, another 3, 5, 7 years of delays would have a huge negative impact on the well-being of local people. So in summary, just asking that even with the increased cost, that you please approve this vital regeneration
30
scheme.
seconds.
Immediately, so that the contractor can get on site and we can start to see Wolverton once again as a thriving town and a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Can I ask Claire Scott to speak next? And again, you have 3 minutes.
I'm Claire Scott, and I've been part of Still Green for over 15 years, longer than any other member, which gives me the right, I believe, to the title the Mother of the House. I first moved to Milton Keynes in 2000 for work, living in lodgings with members of Andy's Church in Wolverton, and then buying a nearby council leasehold flat 3 years later. My work took me away from here in 2005, and I've rented out my flat ever since. For the last 3 years, my tenants have come through the council's guaranteed rent scheme, enabling a number of people affected by the cost of living crisis to have a home in our town. I'm excited about returning to Wolverton and look forward to moving my belongings back from Leicester the way they went, on the Grand Union Canal. When I joined Still Green, it was fast becoming a fully fledged co-housing project, from an idea sparked in 2009 when Quakers from Milton Keynes visited a retirement village near York. The vision has always been to create an intentional neighbourhood in which we can live well into the later years of our working lives and on into retirement, keeping our minds and bodies active and healthy, and sharing our time and talents in our local community. It has been a long journey, and we have travelled far across Milton Keynes and beyond, looking for a suitable place to call home. Eventually, the invitation to be part of the Agora regeneration scheme offered us somewhere that ticked all our boxes. When we show new inquirers around, they all say how much they like Wolverton, despite the hoardings and the pile of rubble. Once we move in, we will have some shared facilities of our own, but we don't want to be inward-looking. Rather, we'll make use of what's already on our doorstep, the library, the leisure centre, the allotments and more. Some of us will continue in paid employment, and many will want to volunteer with organisations like the Christian Foundation, the Community Orchard, Future Wolverton, Camp Hill and Willen Hospice, and of course, join in the town council's groups and events. Still Green members, whether living locally or further away, including Portugal and New Zealand, have already been getting to know Wolverton, enjoying its restaurants and shops, including Namji and Mrs. B's, visiting the Secret Garden and the museum, walking by the canal and in the Ouse Valley Park, feasting and being entertained by local artistes at the old school. A glance at our Facebook page shows the breadth of subjects our members are interested in and looking forward to joining. Repair cafes, coffee morning, street markets, and one of our favourites, Save Wolverton, Swifts and Martins. On behalf of the members of Still Green, I urge the Council to approve the recommendations before them.
Thank you. Can I ask for Margaret Newland and Nicola Hubbard next, please? And between you both, you have up to 3 minutes.
Margaret Newlands, Nicola Hubbard, we're both Still Green board members. Still Green is delighted to see the proposals before Council to take forward the Agora regeneration scheme. And we're grateful to Council for recommending a change in delivery route for Still Green, so that an over 50s co-housing community can continue to be an integral part of the scheme. We endorse this proposal. We appreciate too how the value of the co-housing project is recognised in the report. Having this co-housing community in Milton Keynes would indeed offer an exciting new housing option for over 50s. Because co-housing communities are self-managed, members commit to being good neighbours to one another, living in a mutually supportive way, contributing as we each can. But as Claire said, we want to be good neighbours more widely too, and we're pleased to be part of plans for an all-age development. The Agora development is ideal for an over 50s community and our values. The low-carbon homes, close to local facilities and services, public transport literally on the doorstep, open spaces nearby, and in the centre of Wolverton and its wonderfully vibrant community. Co-housing is more common in other countries in Europe than in the UK, but it is gaining momentum here now. Many groups are seeking sites, finance, partners, planning permission. It is very hard. 31 communities are established, but only one is specifically for an older age group. The partnership proposed between the council, town and Still Green would be delivering a pioneering co-housing project. Our origins go back to 2009, so we do have persistence. We became involved in the Agora scheme in 2019. We co-designed with town during lockdown. We've stayed firm through the challenges the scheme has faced since that have already been alluded to. The final stage has been working with town on value engineering for Block C to help reach the financial position for the scheme now being put forward to council. We remain committed to developing a thriving over 50s co-housing community here in Milton Keynes. We'd love it to be in the midst of a thriving regenerated Wolverton town centre. So we sincerely hope council will approve the recommendations before you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret and Nicola. And we still have time for Marie Osborne, please.
Hello, I'm Marie Osborne. I'm a director of Future Wolverton. We're a community benefit society that represents 500 people in Wolverton. So I'm going to take my glasses off so I can see what I'm doing. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak about this hugely important decision being made this evening. Like many residents of Wolverton, the Agora and latterly the Agora site has been part of my life for over 25 years. I walk through the building every day to access the Co-op and Post Office, and as a toddler, my now 21-year-old son, who's here this evening, regularly scooted down the internal slope from the square side to the building on the lower level, often being told off by a security guard for doing so. In 2012, the Agora became part of my professional life when I led the process to develop the Wolverton Town Centre Neighbourhood Plan. Described as an exemplar of community engagement by the Independent Examiner, the Neighbourhood Plan drew heavily upon the aspirations of the Future Wolverton vision developed by the community 10 years earlier, and I'm proud of the ambitious planning policy the community created and the way in which it kick-started developer interest in the site. The private sector would never have built the Agora. It was a gift from Milton Keynes Development Corporation, funded by the public purse, and I have long thought it was very unlikely to be redeveloped without support from the public sector. I therefore applaud the decision being taken this evening by the Council to take responsibility for the redevelopment of the site and the commitment to realise, as far as is possible, the ambition of the community-led neighbourhood plan. I want to particularly thank Councillor Rob Middleton for his leadership of the Town Centre Regeneration Working Group over many years, and to develop a town for still being here over 8 years since they first became involved. The Agora has tested all our resilience. Finally, I want to put on record the huge effort and commitment of the Wolverton community over very many years to determine what is finally about to happen to the site. My community were not prepared to settle for just any redevelopment, and despite the many frustrations, when the work begins on the site this year, it will be their determination to influence the future of their town, which has made it all possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. So, Deputy Mayor, please can you confirm those councillors who have given notice that they wish to speak?
Mayor, we have Councillors Muzamil, Verma and Geary, and Hussain, Hume and Basmili.
And of course we've got Councillor Marland who's reserved his right to speak at the end. So I'm going to ask for Councillor Muzamil first, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to begin by acknowledging the residents and businesses from Wolverton who have come here today and shared their passion for Wolverton. I've spoken to many people who simply want to see their town centre finally brought back to life, and on that we are all certainly agreed. Wolverton deserves regeneration. It has waited too long for it. And whilst we want to see the rubble gone and town centre rebuilt, our biggest concern is at what cost to residents is this happening. The scheme has more than doubled in cost since it was approved, from 36 million to almost 77 million. Borrowing has risen to nearly 60 million. Benefit to cost ratio sits at just 1.1, leaving very little room for error. And the entire model depends on income performing exactly as expected. And yes, with time, costs go up, inflation, global pressures, changing markets. But ultimately, it is up to the administration to make sure the project is delivered on time and on budget. And we all know that delays cost money. And those delays sit with this administration. Failure to secure investors, that is on this administration. Failure to get a better deal for residents, that is on this administration. Removing affordable housing, on this administration. Reducing contributions that these residents are entitled to for community facilities, that is on this administration. The council has a fiduciary duty to taxpayers, and the key question is whether income will actually cover this level of borrowing. But if it doesn't, the risk sits entirely with the residents of Milton Keynes. The council is now proposing to step in as developer, builder, landlord, and seller, despite acknowledging it has limited experience in doing so. All of these are red flags, and we will be doing our residents a disservice if we don't highlight them. The Town Council has also rightly raised concerns. They have asked for transparency, independent reviews, and safeguards. And I want to be absolutely clear. We are not against regeneration. We are not here to say do nothing. We are asking you to do this properly. Consider a phased approach to reduce upfront exposure. Structure it so risk is shared, not concentrated. Strengthen it with proper safeguards, clear review points, and transparency. Deliver it in a way that protects the people who ultimately pay for it. Knowing this level of risk that is being unfairly placed on residents and knowing what is in the red pages that we can't talk about tonight, we will be reluctantly voting against this report. Wolverton deserves regeneration, but this is a complex long-term financial gamble, and if it doesn't go to plan, it's Milton Keynes residents who will be left carrying the risk. And for the sake of Milton Keynes, I genuinely hope this project succeeds, but hope alone is not a strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Musmail. Can I have Councillor Verma next, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Let me just reiterate again, Wolverton definitely needs regeneration, and I'm backing our leader Shaz here. More so because I've personally seen commercial viability lately falling apart, and I think our cabinet member confirmed that as well. The delays have been due to economic uncertainties. With the war going on, they are not over. I think we all will agree to that. I did read some of the risk statements, on the contracts and other things, and saying it's viable 41 to 45 years. Pretty normal standard, so fair enough. Not against it, Milton Keynes has got 2 buildings, in particular I'll say, and I'm sure there are 4 others, which we can talk about, which are sitting in the same economic uncertainties, and they're still not starting, One of them, I personally used to have a restaurant, which is the old Waitrose Sainsbury building, lying there in rubbles. There is no uncertainty, there is no profitability, so the developers has put it on hold. We, in this council, talked about Saxon Court multiple times. We called in that decision, went on quite in depth. It's still sitting there, not started yet. And the reasons are the same. What are we doing now? We are basically taking this decision, and we are taking a lot of those ownerships again on the council hand. I fully agree it's going to be on a particular cost with a particular person, but there is no guarantee of starting it. It will be again another episode of delays, another episode of potentially inflations coming, potentially more uncertainties coming, I think we need to rethink. We need regeneration. We need to rethink about the commercial viability. We need to rethink about how we're going to run it, if we have to run it on ourselves. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Verma. Can I have Councillor Hussain, please?
Thank you, Mayor. As the Wolverton Ward Councillor, I am delighted to speak in support of the additional funding for this Agora regeneration project. This is a project our community has been eagerly waiting and anticipating for, and it will make a real difference for residents, visitors and local businesses. Having served on the Town Council for the past 15 years and 5 years on the City Council, I've seen the highs and lows of this project since its inception. We were making real progress, but like so many things, COVID struck, making it incredibly difficult to proceed as planned. The project was originally approved before COVID, and since then it has faced unforeseen challenges and cost increases, circumstances beyond the Council's control. While this has delayed completion, it has not diminished the importance or benefits of the work. Completing the Agora regeneration will bring tangible improvements to Wolverton. Our market square will become a more vibrant community hub. Local shops and cafes will benefit from increased footfall, and public spaces will provide a welcoming environment for families and residents together. This investment will help make Wolverton a modern, thriving town centre we can all be proud of. Approving this additional funding shows leadership and a strong commitment to our community. It allows the project to continue without further delay and ensures residents and businesses can finally enjoy the benefits we have been waiting for. In short, I fully support this additional funding and look forward to seeing the regenerated Agora become a positive and lasting asset for Wolverton.
Thank you, Councillor Hussain. Councillor Geary, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Firstly, can I start by saying no one doubts no one disputes, certainly I don't, what Councillor Hussain has said and what many of the members of the public have said as well. I don't think anybody wants to sit here and saying this regeneration should not happen. But I do need some information, because I really would like to support this, but I do need some confidence given to me. I have been around this council for quite a while, and as most people in this council will know, this council doesn't have a great record of delivering at capital schemes. We'll start in this council. Ed, you can shake your head all you like, it doesn't. This council building was supposed to be renovated for £2 million. It cost over £10 million. Have a look at some of the others. We were supposed to be delivering a care facility in Linford Wood. It cost double, more than double, what the original process said. There are many other schemes that you could look at where this council cannot do it. This papers, and we've looked at the red papers, this budget is drum tight. The contingency has all gone. There is nothing left. But since that was written, we now have a war. Only today they are predicting the oil costs will go to £200 a barrel from 70 when this report was written. I can guarantee if we start this scheme now, we'll be back here in a period of time asking for an increase in the amount of money that will be needed to be borrowed to do it. If you can give me some confidence that won't be the case, you will get my vote. But I need the confidence that you can give me, hopefully, that this scheme won't be coming back here asking for more money. Because if it does, lots of other people are going to have to pay for it. We can't just see schemes go extra, extra, extra the whole time. And that is what worries people. It should worry everybody in this council, because whether it will benefit Wolverton, the residents of Bletchley, the residents of Woburn Sands, and everywhere else are going to have to pay for this eventually, because money's there. So please, when whoever's going to be doing this, summing up, whatever, please give the confidence that we know that this is going to be stuck to and it's not going to be an idea.
Thank you, Councillor Geary. Councillor Hume next, please.
Thank you very much. I was going to keep this short, but I think I'm going to add more as I go on. But I couldn't pass over speaking on this item, given the comments that we've had from the small opposition group in the council. I hope that Those who are here from the Wolverton community will allow me to draw some parallels about a regeneration project that's happening in my ward on the Lakes Estate. Tomorrow, I will be with local residents celebrating the handover of the final site of Phase A on the Lakes Estate. And so I want to just share that hope that actually this council can deliver. Like Wolverton residents of the Lakes Estate have been working for decades to bring about change in their communities. In Wolverton, it was with the Agora. From the residents in my ward, it's Serpentine Court. It's not always been an easy journey. More recently, the challenge of the Conservative mini-budget, and I know that the lead, Councillor Musselmore did not mention that in her list of the issues that change costs and issues around these programmes. She didn't mention that at all. And the damage that caused to the economy, it crashed the UK economy, and it almost brought things to a stop on the Lakes Estate and continues to plague large regeneration projects across this country. But despite this, this council worked through those challenges. There were changes to the scheme on the Lakes Estate, and there have been changes in Wolverton, but it proceeded with it, and it's delivered on it in my ward. And I want to give that hope to the residents of Wolverton that this council can and will see these projects through. So when the Conservative Deputy Leader talks about, and the leader in other previous meetings talks about the Lakes Estate not being delivered on time or on budget, it does a disservice to this council and the work it delivers. So I am proud to correct that record and say that Phase A on the Lakes Estate is being delivered alongside our contractors on time and within budget through the construction phase. The delivery of these programmes is not about just the buildings, it's about transforming the lives for our local residents and the community. I see it for residents in my ward. When they come up to me and they approach me in the street and tell me the difference that the new homes and the surrounding community space that they have is making a difference in their lives, it makes a difference what this council does and how it delivers these programmes. So I see how much these programmes matter, and I look forward to seeing how the Agora Regeneration Programme makes a difference to the Wolverton community too, as the Lakes Estate has to my community.
Thank you. Councillor Bamasili, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have lived in Wolverton for over 10 years, and I'm also a town councillor for Wolverton and Greenleys. And like many residents, I have walked past the former Agora site year after year, feeling the weight of its past. The decline of the Agora has been felt by families, traders, and neighbours who remember what Wolverton's once had in its centre. That is why this regeneration is so important. It cannot be just bricks and mortar. It must be a restoration of confidence, of pride, and of opportunity. Wolverton has a heritage that deserves to be honoured and a community spirit that deserves to be strengthened. We have an opportunity here to build spaces that truly serve local businesses, support our economy, and give residents places that feel welcoming, vibrant, and unmistakably Wolverton. This is why the regeneration of this site matters so much and why it is so important that it is done right. And it is why I am fully supporting this decision. I look forward to seeing Wolverton's next chapter and reaping the benefits of this council's hard work and patience. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Marland, do you wish to speak now?
Thank you. Thank you to all the residents of Wolverton. Ironically, having represented the ward for 15 years, I never actually lived in Wolverton. I lived in New Bradwell, and we definitely miss living in New Bradwell. But Wolverton has always been close to my heart, and I'd like to thank Neil from Town and Rob and all on the steering group for making sure we've got this far. But I want to just pay one final tribute to Marie Osborne. If every community and every high street had a Marie Osborne, our high streets in this country would not be struggling. The amount of money that you bring into Wolverton is fantastic, and it's always a hand up, not a hand out, that you ask for, and I think that's hugely important. You know, I think it's really easy. One last time, Herrick, one last time. It's really easy for opposition councillors to sit there and talk about delays as if they've been as if they've been generated on this side of the chamber. How about this? If Liz Truss had not done her mini budget, we would have been built this project. You drove up energy costs, you drove up construction costs, you drove the economy off a cliff, and you made sure that this economy in this country is in the toilet, and you have never as a party taken responsibility for that, and you should. Councillor Geary, you talk about construction and delivering regeneration projects as if we don't do that. We do that. If you really want to look at a really bad idea, and you talk about Saxon Court, how about an administration that paid £12 million for a building, didn't even do a survey on it, had to spend 400 grand 3 weeks later on fixing the roof? That was your administration when you were in power. Did you take responsibility for it? No. And let's talk about one last thing about Iran, Nigel Farage, Kimi Badenoch. Last week, they were all in favour of bombing Iran, in favour of this country going into an illegal war. Now, when they've seen it was deeply unpopular and the wrong thing to do, they are saying, no, we didn't say that. You can't make mistakes if you're Prime Minister of the country. They would have it as bombing Iran. They would have our prices skyrocketing. Keir made the right decision, and you should be thankful that he is our Prime Minister. And if you talk about these magic investors that fall from the sky, I'll tell you one thing. We did have an investor, they were called Trivel House. They pulled out because of the Conservative Brexit that they forced on this country. Talk about a competency, you didn't even read the papers. Councillor Geary, it's a fixed price contract. Pure and simple, read the paper.
30 seconds.
Let's talk about the borrowing. The borrowing has gone up, but it is not the same scheme. This scheme delivers reinstates roads, new parks, improved parking, a bike hub, public toilets, retail units that are not in the business plan at full cost. They are at low cost to make sure that our traders in Wolverton can be delivered a regeneration scheme, not a market value scheme. This scheme breaks even at halfway point. The council can then decide to sell it at no loss, or it can decide to keep it at a profit that is higher than the original cost. Ultimately, this is the final decision that I'm ever going to make in this council. It needs to be a good one. Of course I'm frustrated. Of course it should have taken a short amount of time. But promises based on nothing that haven't even read the papers, put out a press release saying they'd raised these concerns, hadn't even turned up to the cabinet meeting. Make sure that we as a council support this for the people of Wolverton, and I'm glad it's the last thing I'm going to do as a member of this council.
Thank you, Councillor Marland. So, Councillor Townsend, after that, would you like to sum up?
Yes, thank you very much. I'll miss the bad cop, good cop routine, actually. I think we've kind of got that down pat. Yeah, I mean, echo everything that Councillor Marland said. This is a good scheme. I am a resident who lives in Wolverton. I'm very excited to see this go ahead. It is a fixed price. It's the contractor who's at risk, not us. We're not a silly council. We do things very prudently, and actually it's your side of the hall that often, at budgets, for example, are asking us to spend our contingency. Now, in this case, when it works for you, you're telling us that we should have more of a contingency. It's very mixed messages, consistent mixed messages, Councillor Geary. During COVID, we were building the Watling Academy for 40 million. There were significant cost increases. We worked with the contractor, managed delivery within the budget. Lakes Estate, as Ed said, managed to deliver that on time, in budget, social housing that has gone forward, and you know, it's that contractor who delivered that, who has now stepped forward to work with us on the Wolverton scheme. So we do have confidence in them, we have an existing relationship with them, and I hope that everyone in here will agree to this decision this evening, because if you don't, you're doing it just to score political points, and the public will see right through you.
Thank you, Councillor Townsend. At this moment, I will ask, as a council, are we agreed? Okay, I can hear that there's dissent in the room, so I will ask that the Head of Democratic Services to undertake a vote on the motion in the way that we've always outlined.
Thank you, Mayor. So we are voting on the recommendation from Cabinet. That is recommendation 1.2, set out on page 22 of the agenda pack. If I can ask all councillors who are in favour of the recommendation to raise their hands now, please. All those against? And abstentions?
Councillor Geary and Councillor Marland, stop. We are doing the vote.
Abstentions, please, Mayor.
Thank you. So, the voting results for the motion on regeneration of the former Agora shopping centre. Councillors for, 44. Councillors against, 2. Councillors abstaining, 4. So the recommendation is carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 4, which is councillors' questions. The total set aside for this is limited to 30 minutes, sorry. I've just been given advice. We are to take an adjournment for 5 minutes for a comfort break and those who wish to leave at this moment in time. I expect everyone back at 21:07, please. Questions? So the total time set aside is limited to 30 minutes. I will initially allow one councillor to ask one question. If time permits, I will open the floor to more questions. Questions should take no longer than a minute to ask and must consist of only one part, and the answer must be brief and last no more than 2 minutes. I will ask that we conduct ourselves in a respectful and appropriate manner, and I'm grateful for the advance submission of questions. Deputy Mayor, please can you confirm who have given notice of a question?
Notice given so far, Mayor, is Councillor Marie Bradburn, David Hopkins, Councillor Eaton, Councillor Geary, Councillor Jane Carr, Councillor Verma and Councillor Andrew.
Does anyone else wish to? Councillor McLean. Okay, so I'll start with Councillor Marie Bradburn, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My question is to the Cabinet Member for Public Realm, Councillor Jennifer Wilson-Marflow. Sorry about that. Young people who live in Healands in my ward, who attend St Paul's Catholic School, rely on the 609 bus service run by Z&S Transport to travel to and from school each day. This service is particularly important because Healands has limited bus connections and the route provides a direct journey to the schools in Leadenhall. Until recently, the service accepted the Milton Keynes all-in-one travel card, which helped keep fares affordable for families. However, the company has now stopped accepting the card, meaning many students are facing higher travel costs. For many of these young people, the bus is their main way of getting to school. Not all families have access to a car or can afford alternative transport, so these changes risk making it harder for some students to attend school regularly. Z&S also operates routes to St Paul's from Greenleys, Newport Pagnell, Newton Leys and Bletchley, meaning the issues affect families across the city. Could the Cabinet Member confirm whether the City Council will engage with St Paul's Catholic School and Z&S Transport to explore possible solutions such as reinstating the all-in-one card for school routes, agreeing a reduced fare for students? Apologies, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bradburn, and thank you for advance notice that you were going to ask this question. It's actually something I'm very familiar with. It's been on my radar for a long time. We have engaged both with St Paul's and with Z&S. In fact, we have spent quite a long time trying to stop Z&S from leaving the all-in-one scheme. However, we do also have a duty to ensure we're delivering value for money for our residents, and as part of that, asking for data to ensure that where we are subsidising services, that reflects the number of passengers using those services. We have not been given this data, and therefore Z&S have said they no longer wish to participate in the scheme. I'm really sorry. I know it's really challenging. We have worked with Arriva. Arriva are now directing a service past the school at least twice a day, I believe. And I also believe that Z&S have reduced their fares for students, I think because they saw quite a sharp drop-off in the number of children using the bus to get to school. If there is anything else you can think of or any other suggestions you have that you would like us to take to either Z&S or St Paul's, I would be very, very happy to facilitate conversations or to ask the team to talk to them further.
Councillor Bradburn, do you have a supplementary?
Given I ran over time, I will, and Jennifer has answered it already. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor David Hopkins, please.
Thank you very much indeed, Mayor. My question's to the Leader. Leader, on March the 5th, that marked 500 days since traffic was allowed to run on Phase 1 of East West Rail. March the 25th, it will be a year since Chiltern Railways were announced as the operator. During this time, freight, test and charter trains have used East West Rail, but no passenger services. Now, Leader, I believe that no one stakeholder is entirely to blame for the lack of services, but it's a catalogue of failure, and the unfortunate anniversaries have prompted me to question, doesn't the public deserve better? In attempting to uncover exactly where the project now stands, and whether passengers from Bletchley and Milton Keynes Central should expect services this year, I would ask the Leader if he would write to the DFT asking the following question, which is in 3 parts. What are the sticking points? Is there any sign of them being resolved? And what is the role of DFT and Chiltern in the discussions? Thank you.
Thank you, David, and as always, thank you for your advance notice of the question. Just a couple of helpful facts. I think I spoke to Callum Anderson MP on what has been happening. He's been talking to the Transport Secretary, the Rail Minister, the Managing Director of Chiltern Railways and the CEO of the East West Rail Company and the RMT Union to try and resolve these issues. And he, like you, has been asking the same questions. Apparently, one of the interesting facts about why it's taken so long to open the railway is that the previous government basically allowed the construction to begin without setting any parameters whatsoever of how it would imagine the operator to run and how it would imagine the operator to run its trains. Imagine spending over £3 billion on a railway and having no idea how it would operate. He's going to continue to work with that, and I know he has a meeting in the diary next week to discuss the matter, but of course I'll write to the DFT as well and make sure that we try and get the answers that our residents absolutely need, because if we keep talking about the benefits of East West Rail, it would be lovely to be able to run some trains on it.
Councillor Hopkins, do you have a supplementary?
I need to say I'm grateful to the leader.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton, please.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is for the Cabinet Member for Housing. Apologies for the lack of advance notice. Please can you explain why a resident living in a council bungalow for older residents has a council-owned light on the outside wall of their property, which lights a council footpath, and has been told by the Mayor's contracting service that they can fix the light, but that the resident will have to pay for the electricity as the light has been wired into their own meter since it was put into their home years before they moved in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Eaton. If you could send me the details of the resident and the property, I will make sure that gets looked at. I think one thing to just say is there are numbers of examples where there are abnormalities, like, I can't even say the word now, like that across the city, where some interesting construction and situations happened when the Development Corporation built some properties. So there will be other examples, but if there are, let me know and we will take that with mayors and our officers to get that resolved.
Councillor Eaton, do you have a supplementary? Thank you. Councillor Geary, please.
Thank you very much. Question to the leader. A couple of years ago, when it was clear that the Housing Infrastructure Fund would not have enough money to be able to fund the bridge over the motorway, you informed Council and many others that you had done a deal with the developer and the developer would fund any overspends after outside of the contracted agreement. Do you stand by that statement?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Interestingly, there was a meeting last night of the stakeholder group where a number of people in this chamber were there, where it was absolutely clear that actually any overspends outside of the contracted issues are going to be spent at a tariff. Tariff is public money, not there. It comes from a developer, but it's public money. It's public money that has something it's supposed to be spent on, not spending on overspends. So, do you acknowledge now that any overspend on the bridge, which will be significant, tens of millions, we're going to be coming out of tariff, which means that the residents of MKE, the future residents, are going to be short on the infrastructure that they need in that area?
Not for the first time, but probably not for the last, depending on what happens later in the month. You are wrong and inaccurate. No.
Thank you. So next, can I move on to Councillor Jane Carr, please?
Thank you, Mayor. My question is to the Cabinet Member for Public Realm, the wonderful Jennifer Wilson-Markley. We are currently seeing replies from highways about faded white road markings that say repairs will be carried out in batches at similar issues at similar times identified in a single area. We appreciate that budgets are tight, but we're still waiting for other jobs that have been planned, been aborted because of the weather, and we're still waiting. So could this approach towards repairs be scheduled based on whether the similar jobs nearby are rather more urgent than some others, or are we still on the old timetable of when it came in, it'll get done timetable rather than waiting?
I think where possible, we try and ensure that we do jobs in batches. I'm happy if you have examples to go away to the highways team, get a bit more information about when they're planning to do the works, and also clarify exactly how they're working to deliver those improvements. Well, repairs.
Councillor Carr, do you have a supplementary?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so can we agree that the length of time the repair has been waiting should also be included in the weighing of whether a job should be done or not?
I think doing things as efficiently as possible for the taxpayers of Milton Keynes is always going to be the best way to do things.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew next, please.
My question is for the Leader of the Council, and I wondered if you would join me in congratulating the Prime Minister for clarifying in Prime Minister's questions in January that in order to meet the new team's targets, we, and I quote, will not plough through farmland, and recognise the relief this will bring to those in the north of Milton Keynes.
Thank you. I think how we are going to develop housing has been set out both in the local plan that has been through numerous consultations, and I believe, and as we will set out, or as the Labour group will set out in our manifesto, the best way to protect rural farmland and rural villages and green space, not just for the next month or for the next 6 years of a local plan, is to set out a long-term growth strategy for the city. And what a new town will do is protect those villages, protect those green spaces, and protect those places that we are not developing on, not just for the next few years, but for decades into the future. And I think that's what people want. We want to protect what's right about Milton Keynes. You know, we don't want to build willy-nilly all over farmland just because we want to build houses. We want to build houses in the right way, with the right infrastructure. But ultimately, I also think that Milton Keynes wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that, you know, we don't have green belt, we don't have very many sites of special scientific interest, but those that we do, we have to make sure that we keep and protect.
Councillor Andrew, do you have a supplementary?
No, but thank you for the answer.
Thank you. Councillor Verma, please.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is again to the Leader of the Council. In January full council, you mentioned something about a disruptive education provider. Is it feasible to discuss that a bit more? If not, more than happy to have an offline chat.
Yeah, we are taking forward those discussions for reasons that I could discuss with you, or any councillor that wishes to discuss with me out of the meeting. There are quite good reasons why that provider does not want to at the moment be public, because obviously most universities now, they're not really public bodies, they are commercial bodies, and there are commercial sensitivities, there are sensitivities with people that they employ. But we are confident that not just that provider, but the government may also, either through the new town or through other funding such as the Growth Opportunity Fund, hopefully fund that provision, because it remains one of those 7 big projects that we set out as an administration, that everybody in this chamber signed up to in the strategy for 2050 about what will make Milton Keynes special in the future.
Councillor Verma, do you have a supplementary?
No, just a thank you. I think I'll drop an email, set up some time.
Thank you. And Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor. My question, it's not surprising, is to Jenny Wilson-Marklow. On the 2nd of March, I filled in on the new council cup forms and asked a question about litter picking on the A-grid and rural roads. And several residents have contacted me regarding the amount of litter on the verges of all types of roads. Whilst their comments generally relate to the roads in Only Ward, they do mention the grid roads across the city. The outcome expectation was we get a schedule of litter picking for all the roads, and secondly, visible improvement in the state of the verges in line with the schedule. I haven't received anything yet. I wonder whether she could chivvy up the officers to provide the answer. It seems very strange that there's no schedule available for publication, so that members of the public as well as us councillors know.
I don't want to have the schedule conversation again. I feel like we've had the schedule conversation a lot. I'm very happy to get clarification about what litter picking and mowing will look like for the year to come. It will be the same as it was last year, which is there isn't a fixed schedule. There will be times where we expect to do it, but we might not be doing it exactly when you would like us to do it. I also just want to confirm there should always be a litter pick before anything is mowed. If you see a situation where that isn't what has happened, I would like to know about it so that we can take it back to the contractor and ask them why they have not done what is agreed.
Thank you. Councillor McLean, do you have a supplementary?
I do, and it's a shame that Chris Curtis has left, because my supplementary question was that one of the residents contacting me had previously written to Chris and asking specifically about the A509 from Chickford Roundabout to Sherrington. And Chris's response from his office was very quick. He said they're picked every 8 weeks. And I just wanted to ask whether the Cabinet member was worried that there was a typo there. It should be every 80 weeks.
The litter picking is carried out always before mowing, so that when you mow, you don't get rubbish everywhere.
Okay, thank you. We will move on now to item 5, which is notices of motion. For the benefit of the public watching, I will outline what will happen tonight. Firstly, councillors moving and seconding the motion will speak. Where there are amendments, these will be introduced, and I'll ask the councillor who first moved the motion if they accept them. If it is accepted, it usually becomes part of the motion. If amendments are not accepted, there will be separate votes at the end of the debate. Where there is more than one amendment to the same motion, they'll be dealt with in order. After motions and amendments have been introduced, any members of the public who have registered can speak up to 3 minutes. Then the council will debate the motion for a maximum of 15 minutes before summing up and voting. Our council procedure rules set the cap of 15 minutes for the main debate. The clock will start after motions have been moved and seconded, after any amendments have been moved and or formally seconded, and the public speaking concluded. After 15 minutes of the main debate, and when the councillor speaking has completed their speech, I will then invite movers of motions and amendments to sum up. I will keep an eye on the time, and after 10 minutes of the main debate have passed, I will let the council know. Please be aware that I will be asking all councillors to keep their speeches to 3 minutes tonight. Motion 1 is early mental health support for children aged 8 to 12 in Milton Keynes. Councillor Raja, I understand that you'll be moving this motion.
Thank you, Mayor. As both a ward and parish councillor, I regularly hear from parents who are worried about their children's mental health, especially parents of children aged 8 to 12. This is a group that's dealing with a lot. There's pressure at school, changes at home, that influence of social media, and the big step from primary to secondary school, all at a time when they're still developing and learning how to manage their emotions. Parents come to me because they're worried and they're looking for help. They can see something isn't right, their child might be anxious or struggling at school. As councillors, we can signpost families to support, but too often they're told their child doesn't meet the threshold, even though they can clearly see them struggling every day. And during that waiting time, families feel like they're on their own. They just want to know where to turn to, how to get help, and how to support their child before things get worse. But the system can be difficult to navigate, especially when parents are already juggling work, school, and family life. What they need is clear information and some support whilst they're waiting. We all know that early help makes a real difference. For children in this age group, getting the right support at the right time can stop problems becoming more serious later on. I've listened to local families, and that's why I've brought this motion forward tonight. I hope that by encouraging the ICB to improve early intervention and make support more accessible, we can start to make things better for families in our city. Children shouldn't have to reach crisis point before they get help. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Raj. Councillor Banks, I believe you had a second.
Thank you, Mayor. We know demand for children's mental health support is growing, and families are left waiting or struggling to know where to turn. In Milton Keynes, we're lucky to have some fantastic charities that offer support, but we can't rely on individual organisations alone. What we need is a more joined-up, city-wide approach. This motion reflects our solution to a problem: commitment to developing a city-wide mental health strategy focused on local solutions for local people. Bringing together schools, health services and community organisations in a way that work for residents to reduce inequalities, ease pressure on crisis services and ensure improved well-being for all residents. As a major economic centre and community city, poor mental health also threatens productivity and community cohesion. As our city continues to grow, our support needs to grow with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Banks. Chief Executive, I understand there are some public speakers on this.
Yes, Mayor. We've got one member of the public registered, Hamna Raja.
Thank you. Hamna Raja, can you please introduce yourself, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Fellow councillors, good evening. My name is Hamna Raja, and I'm currently studying at the Hazley Academy, doing my A-levels, and this is my sister Ikra giving me a bit of support. So we are currently witnessing a quiet, escalating crisis in our primary schools. The data provided in this motion are stark. 1 in 5 children aged 8 to 16 are experiencing an expected mental health disorder. In Milton Keynes alone, nearly 13,000 young people are living with conditions that place significant, often unsustainable pressure on our legal services. But the stats only tell half the story. The other half is told in the living rooms of families stuck in a heartbreaking limbo. I've seen this crisis firsthand within my own family. My sister suffered from severe depression and anxiety. We experienced the long waiting times and the high eligibility thresholds mentioned in this motion. We tried repeatedly to get her the help she needed through the standard local pathways, only to find doors consistently closed and the wait too long to risk. Ultimately, we were only able to secure her safety because we had the means to seek private care. But this experience left me with a haunting question. What happens to those children whose families cannot go private? Currently, the system rewards those with health knowledge, those who are educated on how to navigate complex administrations, and who have the financial resources to bypass a failing queue. As noted in Section 1E, the pathways for neurodivergent assessments are complex and unclear. For a parent working 2 jobs or a family for whom English is a second language, or those simply overwhelmed by the stigma of mental health illnesses, these barriers are very difficult. Public health should not be rewarded for being well connected. Our current strategy is diluted across 3 authorities, limiting our ability to support the unique needs of Milton Keynes. We must strengthen local providers like CHUMS to ensure that early intervention isn't just a buzzword but a reality. We must shift our mindset from crisis management to prevention. Investing in a child where they are 8 or 9 years old is not only more compassionate, but is a better value for public money than waiting until the child reaches a breaking point at 16. Let's ensure that in Milton Keynes, the quality of a child's mental health support is determined by their need, not by their family's ability to navigate or pay their way out of a broken system. I support this motion, and I hope the Council will too. Thank you.
Excellent speech, Hamna. Deputy Mayor, please can you confirm those councillors who give notice that they wish to speak?
Yes, Mayor, we have David Hopkins, Joe Henshaw and Claire Chapelin.
Thank you. I will ask for Councillor Henshaw first, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Raja, for bringing this motion to Council. I indeed wholeheartedly agree with the spirit of the motion. We absolutely recognise that early help is critical in supporting children and young people to avoid concerns escalating to a point where statutory involvement is necessary, and this is particularly relevant in relation to children and young people's emotional health and well-being. Children's services and our schools continue to be proactive in supporting children and young people at their point of need, identifying where early support can help, or for waiting a statutory health appointment, supporting them in a waiting well approach. However, it is important to recognise that the local authority is neither responsible for or resourced or equipped to deliver, as I've mentioned earlier today, children and young people's mental health services. When children are recognised to need mental health support, it is necessary that it is addressed within our health services and is delivered by health professionals with the appropriate clinical governance and oversight. As our local BLMK ICB is transitioning from April 2026 to become part of the bigger Central East ICB, it's important that we ensure the right mental health services and provision for our 8 to 12-year-olds in Milton Keynes. therefore exists. And through our scrutiny and committee work, we explore further with health colleagues to bring further assurances for the waiting times, the thresholds for support and the interim support available for children in Milton Keynes whilst awaiting assessment, alongside the other proposals put forward in this motion. In this way, we can also consider together any further early intervention strategies that may be made available for children whilst assessments is being awaited for. We also recognise that the support available for our children as they're transitioning into early adolescence, where they often can be transitioning into secondary schooling as well as experiencing wider life changes. It's a difficult time, and those needs need to be coordinated in a way that makes most difference. This will not replace the importance of children feeling they belong within secure and stable family networks or are growing up in safe communities, of which we all have a part to play. But we will continue to be committed to bringing early support where this is needed and support our health partners in understanding and meeting the mental health needs of our children in Milton Keynes. Again, I wholeheartedly agree with the spirit of the motion and just remind members that we must recognise what is within our remits and remember what we already do as a council. I just wanted to reinforce that point. I will be supporting this motion, of course, and thank you again for bringing it to the council, Councillor Raja.
Thank you, Councillor Henshaw. Councillor David Hopkins, please.
Thank you very much indeed, Mayor. Mayor, an NHS England report shows that in 2023, approximately 1 in 5 people aged 8 to 25 had a mental disorder. The National Government's Early Support Hubs programme of community-based services are intended to provide drop-in mental health support for young people, challenged by a range of issues and which look to help to prevent more severe mental illness without the need for a referral or a doctor's appointment. But I'd like this to go further, and as such fully support this Liberal Democrat-led motion in the fact that it's taking this mental health of our younger children seriously. Prevention is more cost-effective than cure. The suggestion made a couple of years ago to introduce a national rollout of early intervention hubs for 8 to 12-year-olds would go a long way to support young people's mental health and well-being across the city. In effect, establishing Young Futures hubs that would bring together services, improving access to opportunities and support for all children and young people set in familiar local community settings. Going further, I'd like to see us committing to adding a dedicated mental health professional in every school, and as such supporting the general expansion of the educational psychology workforce with all the positive benefits that would bring. And as an aside, I'd welcome any suggestion that there should be a renewed focus on the NHS workforce specialised in this area by supporting what would be a 10-year programme committed to a staff retention plan and a social care workforce plan. If I'm still here after the 7th of May, I would certainly support calls for CYP scrutiny to consider looking into these issues and to invite the Youth Council to do likewise. Indeed, I'd look to go even further and would suggest that we look to host a city-wide youth mental health summit, develop a co-design programme of work shaped by young people through the Youth Council, work with our multi-academy trust partners and the City Council's education team to equip school staff with the tools to support early intervention and explore further long-term funding and regional partnership opportunities. Mayor, researchers in this complex field conclude there are 5 core strategies that can improve the mental health of children under 12. Promote a healthy and supportive environment, encourage healthy habits and self-care, foster positive relationships, provide opportunities for children to express themselves, and finally provide access to mental health support by providing the environment in which children can seek help when they need it and ensure they have access to mental health support.
30 seconds.
Thank you, Mayor. Such as therapy or counselling. If necessary, this would almost certainly involve working with schools, health professionals and other community organisations to provide our young people with the resources and support they need and which this motion seeks to promote. As such, Mayor, we are pleased to support.
Thank you, David. Councillor Tevlin, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe this motion is absolutely vital. As per Councillor Raja's experience, residents have been in contact with me where mental health services in the city for their child were inadequate and forced to go out of area to receive the help they desperately needed, and where children have fallen within the gaps of safeguarding within the school system and only considered when it is too little, too late in crisis. The nearly 13,000 young people aged 8 to 25 living with a diagnosable mental health condition places significant pressure on our statutory services. The age of 8 is a fundamental age in child and neurodevelopment and a critical age, as is the transition between year 6 and year 7, so I commend the age recommended. I want to highlight, as part of the motion, the families that struggle to navigate pathways to diagnosis and treatment, especially neurodivergent assessment pathways, often facing complex and unclear processes with limited information on how to seek help, and where often a child or young person's plea for help goes unheard, misdiagnosed and delayed, or on long waiting lists, kept in limbo by service gatekeepers, and crucial diagnoses held off. A diagnosis could be a lifeline for a child in need, as it opens up the doors to the correct treatment pathways. Early intervention is vital to many children and many young people, especially when it comes to education and care. Relevant support in their EHCPs can help children and young people thrive, especially when it comes to addressing additional needs and reasonable adjustments to take the burden away from a child in distress and back into the hands, into the professionals to help guide and heal and safeguard young people. I want to note that today is National Child Exploitation Day, and you never truly know what a child may be going through. It's up to policymakers such as ourselves, health and educational professionals to safeguard and protect our children and provide the necessary care and support, especially when it comes to mental health. I strongly support this motion and I commend the Chamber today in supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Councillor Raja, as the owner of the motion, you may now sum up if you would like to.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to extend my thanks to my daughter who spoke out in the public gallery today. We as a family have gone through this. We understand that it can be very difficult a time for families. I would like to say thank you to Councillor Hopkins for some of the suggestions that you made, and Councillor Tevlin for your support, and Councillor Hernshaw. It's reassuring to know that the relevant committees will be looking into this further. And I completely agree with Councillor Hopkins. You know, if prevention methods are put there in place, it will take the burden off the NHS going forward. So, I mean, what I would really like is that this council supports this motion this evening, because it's quite important that we could get this right for the children of Milton Keynes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the motion agreed? Thank you. We'll move on to motion 2 now, which is taking action to improve our roads and pavements by increasing the quality of repairs and replacements, the Milton Keynes Magna Carta. Councillor Andrew, I understand that you'll be moving this motion.
I will. Thank you, Mayor. The roads and pavements, it's got to be one of the top concerns that residents bring to all of us. And with this motion, I wanted to look at potential solutions to one of the root causes of the seemingly endless problems that we see across the city. Throughout Milton Keynes, we see utility companies, now including telecoms companies, digging up our roads and pavements. The trenches dug result in a shorter lifespan for surfaces. Throw in extensive rain, frost, and the increasing frequency and weight of traffic, and we're left with surfaces that are difficult for many to navigate, can result in people falling and cause damage to cars. One of my brilliant senior residents at Lincoln Court, who struggles with our pavements in Hanslope, asked me, why are the roads allowed to be like that? So I did some digging of my own. While I recognise that we're constrained by current legislation, I want to put forward that we use all the tools currently available to make sure that all companies who dig up our roads are vigorously and consistently inspected once work is finished, called back if it's deficient, and issued with penalties wherever we can. Let's ask companies to exceed the minimum national standards. It would seem that the key to better outcomes is consistently applying these exacting standards. Put my teeth in. I don't want us to be in a better state than other authorities and our neighbours. I want us to be best in class, setting a standard that others follow. We're Milton Keynes, a city of innovation, and we should be leading where others should follow. And where we are limited by current legislation, I'd ask us all to avail on our 3 MPs to lobby for simple and effective changes in current legislation that would demand better standards. Like-for-like use of materials, full-width replacements of pavements where trenches have been dug, higher penalties for failures of substandard work, with these penalties going directly back to the council to be used on improvements, and funding to support expanded inspection and enforcement. With more rigorous standards consistently imposed, enforced and delivered, we could start to solve some of the issues at the root cause. I hope that we can all agree to take this motion forward and work towards improving this city for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Andrew. Councillor Verma, I believe you are to second.
I am. Thank you, Mayor. I'm proud to second the motion presented by a councillor who consistently prioritises the needs of residents in a ward and across Milton Keynes. Today, I stand before you not only as a member of the council, but also as a concerned resident of Milton Keynes, a city that has unfortunately earned the unfortunate title of Pothole City. Each heavy rainfall brings a new wave of damage to our roads, transforming them into patchwork, quilt of potholes that seem to multiply overnight. This is disheartening to witness our community suffer from consequences of these deteriorating conditions. Every day, our residents navigate through these hazardous potholes, risking not only damage to their vehicles, but more critically, their safety. While this council may argue that these potholes are not deemed dangerous at the moment, the distress and financial strain they impose on many families cannot be ignored. The prolonged wait for repairs often stretches into months, leaving residents feeling frustrated and helpless. Councillor Ellison has rightly highlighted the responsibility of telecom companies in maintaining our roads, pavements. While I wholeheartedly support her efforts to hold these companies accountable, we must also recognize the crucial role of our council. We have the responsibility to change the narrative surrounding the state of our roads. Milton Keynes deserves better than to be known as Pothole City. We have the power to transform this image, and it requires commitment and decisive action from us as a council. By standing together, demanding better for our roads, we can restore public confidence and ensure our community thrives. Let's not wait for conditions to worsen. Let's act now, make Milton Keynes a place where our roads, pavements are safe, dependable, and worthy of the pride we all share in our council. I urge this council not to blame Liz Truss on this, I guess, and adopt a more proactive approach as suggested by Councillor Ellison. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jenker, can you please move your amendment?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Whilst our amendment may seem somewhat pedantic, it is actually about making it more relevant to the public, and hence why we've asked for the change, which I understand would be accepted, and I'm grateful to Councillor Andrew for that. I'm also grateful to Councillor Andrew for bringing the motion to the table, because it is a source of irritation, and personally it's frustrated me over several years. I campaigned for approximately 2 years to get a path changed in Cyprus, in the sort of part of Newport Pagnell, and I was absolutely thrilled to see this beautiful, absolutely gorgeous path. And I have to say, I don't go, silly frantic over all sorts of things, but I did over this path. It was, a thing of absolute beauty. 3 weeks later, City Fibre do a nice little black line all the way through my beautiful path. And I can tell you, that was just frustrating. But how much so for our teams that spend all that time and effort and, real passion in getting the road and the path to look good, to suddenly have it dug up. Well, in the good old days, and I say this because I worked for an electricity board, some of you might remember those, others won't even know what they are, but, in the good old days, utilities used to speak to each other, and they used to speak to the council, and they had strong protocols, and they had pre-agreed decisions. Didn't always work. Sometimes it went awfully wrong, but it did save a lot of money and a lot of time. But that was before privatisation came along. And that's before profits came along. And that's where we went wrong. We should never have allowed our utilities and services to be privatised as they have been. So now we have a problem. Now we have to work on this. Now we have to try and get it right. So, absolutely, Councillor Andrew, you're absolutely right. We have to lobby our MPs to try and change this stupid set of legislation. But we could also be involving our parish and our town councils when we come to look at reinstating of the paths and the quality of those reinstatements and involving them in some of that reporting back. So I wholeheartedly support the motion as amended, and I encourage others to do likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bradburn, I believe you are to second.
Formally, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew, do you accept the amendment?
I do.
Thank you. Chief Executive, I understand there's no public speakers.
That's correct, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor, can you confirm those who've given notice to speak?
Yes, Mayor. Councillor Wilson-Marklew. Just you. So take as long as you like.
I don't think that's... No. James is
You are not chairing the meeting.
There's something on the telly I want to see at midnight, but, you know.
I won't do that. I do enjoy a bit of brevity. Just a big thank you, actually, to Councillor Andrews for bringing this forward. It comes at a good time. I recently had a really interesting conversation with the contractor about the highways contractor about just this issue. And these poor repairs lead our roads to fail more. The potholes that we have are worse because of the gaps that are left because of the poor state of the repairs. The roads should last for 10 plus years, but these poor repairs are dramatically reducing their lifespan. And they don't just impact road users, as you were talking about, Councillor Andrews. They're impacting our pedestrians, they're impacting our cyclists and any other highways users. We fix a pothole in Milton Keynes every 12 minutes. I don't know if you knew that, but I felt like it was really important to mention. We've got a road treatment and resurfacing programme that we have across the city. And a lot of our residents' money is used to address road failures. And it's really frustrating that these failures are exacerbated by poor repairs from utility companies. So I'm really glad you brought this to Council. I think you've put some really good ideas in there, and I'm already discussing them with the Highways team to look at how they can be taken forward. So thank you very much. And actually, it's really nice when, as a council, we're not trying to score political points. What we're doing is trying to make things better for our residents. And I think this is a really good example of working together as a council to make things better for the people that we represent. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marklew. Councillor Andrew, as the owner of the motion, you may now sum up if you would like to.
I'll just sum up very quickly by saying ditto. Agree. Thank you to Councillor Carr. I think my title was rather boring, so I really appreciate. I think I'd run out of puff. I really appreciate that, and for the feedback as well, and how fabulous to know that conversations have even started. This is about our residents. This is about a particular one who I'm terribly fond of, and everything that we can do to help her helps everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Is the council agreed? Thank you. We'll move on to motion 3, which is supporting home care workers in Milton Keynes. Councillor Tevlin, I understand you will be moving this.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Home care workers are some of the most important people in our communities and too often don't get enough recognition they deserve. This motion hits home to me as my father is currently receiving palliative home care in the community with care workers, and I see firsthand strong relationships are built between the care worker and the service user. Every day across the city, care workers are helping residents stay independent in their own homes. Not only critical care, but also dignity, reassurance and companionship. For many people, this support is what makes all the difference. As a council, we've already taken important steps in adult social care, adopting the Ethical Care Charter, but we know that better pay, proper training and fair working conditions leads to better care. I'm proud to see Milton Keynes City's adult social care services ranking among the top 10 performing local authorities following the recent CQC inspection. Our social care service is built on having a stable, skilled and valued workforce. Last week, I had the pleasure of joining Councillor Fuller with a tour of Linford Place, and it is fantastic, a fantastic new asset for our city. However, this motion is about going further, and we must achieve improved sustainable working conditions for the city's care staff, in particular how travel and travel costs are treated in care home contracts. Carers spend a lot of their day travelling between visit places, plus the rising fuel prices makes it a costly role. Nationally, some care workers are effectively losing pay because time travel isn't properly accounted for. Last year, it estimated that around 500,000 care workers were underpaid, and in some cases by thousands of pounds, because they weren't paid fairly for their travel. If we want people to encourage growth and retention in this profession in our city, we need to ensure care workers are properly supported. This includes recognising their skills, supporting their development, and making sure the systems work fairly for them. Our residents deserve investment in better care, which makes investing in our workforce and making pay sustainable and fair. Effective home care allows people to stay where they are most needed, in their home, closest to their families and communities. Service users enjoy continuity. Service users enjoy continuity in their care staff. This motion should help retain staff and reduce turnover by making it financially sustainable to remain in the profession. When it works well, it reduces pressure on hospitals, supports families, and improves quality of life. So this motion sends a clear message. We value our care workers, we recognise the contribution they make in every single day, and we are committed to supporting them. Please support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jenker, I believe you are to second.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this issue was raised to my attention by listening to Jeremy Vine one afternoon at the lunchtime show. And he was talking to a number of firms who were struggling to recruit because they couldn't find people that wanted to work 50 hours a week for 40 hours pay. They were also talking to those workers and finding out about their working conditions. And whilst most of them didn't work for the local authority, they were firms that were being promoted by local authorities to those who wanted to manage their payments privately. Our investigations here in this council say that that's not something we support. But there are companies out there that are providing services in this town that I don't think we should be recommending, supporting, or advocating on any level, because they are breaking the living wage promise that we have as a council, and as we should be supporting nationally in any event. They're flaunting the employment rights, and they're doing it for profits. Under no circumstances should we be supporting that, but I do want you to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Executive, I understand there's no public speakers.
That's correct, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor, can you confirm those who've given notice?
We have two, Mayor. We have Councillor David Hopkins and Councillor Joe Hernshaw. Does anybody else wish to speak on this motion?
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Fuller. Any more for any more? There you go. Okay. Councillor Fuller.
I will take Councillor Hopkins first, please.
Thank you once again, Mayor. We will, of course, support this motion. However, we all know that successive governments have not helped local authorities in providing 21st century support for the professionals working in this field. In a more balanced world, councils will be better able to support home care workers by increasing funding to improve pay and conditions, reducing reliance upon 0 hours contract, and investing in digital tools to optimise scheduling and reduce administrative burdens. Mayor, enhanced training, career development pathways and better mental health support are crucial for the retention of professional home care workers, as is ensuring better training and utilising technology, as I've said before. So cutting to the quick, the solutions would include better pay, ensuring care workers are paid for the travel time and training hours, as has been said already, contractual security, moving away from 0 hours contracts to provide more stable, guaranteed hours, direct payments, enabling clients to use direct payments to properly remunerate personal assistants, offering better flexibility than traditional agencies, and finally, professional recognition, treating home care workers as the skilled professionals that they are, recognising their crucial role in our health and social care system. In a world where governments refuse to go to first base on this topic and fail to look holistically at its spend and its national priorities, I see little sign of any of the above happening soon. But Mayor, as I say, we will support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hopkins. I made a mistake. I read motion 2, Councillor Earnshaw. I know you're not on to speak, so I'll move to Councillor Fuller.
Thank you, Mayor. I absolutely agree. I just wanted to say that the new adult social care negotiating body will probably pick up a lot of these points. That's not to say that we won't get involved. And I wanted to reassure you that we recently refreshed our framework for care providers, looking for quality rather than quantity. So the amount of people that we are working with has shrunk. But the main point I want to make is that we as a council absolutely recognise and fully support the valuable work that carers do for people in our communities, and we will continue to support them in any ways that we would find appropriate, and to enhance that role. So I will be supporting the motion, and wholeheartedly so.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Councillor Tevlin, as the owner of the motion, you may now sum up if you'd like to.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've heard from Councillor Carr how currently this is breaking the living wage policies, and we need support. We need this motion to be supported. We've heard from Councillor Hopkins about how the tech and rostering could be improved with this motion, and how pay and contractual flexibility will improve our staff and social care. We've also heard from Councillor Fuller about how the adult social care model and the new model will help enforce this. So I then commend everybody to support this motion. I believe it is necessary to support our care workers, giving them the right, correct financial support, training and retention, and this motion will make sure that happens. So please support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tevlin. Is the council agreed? Agreed. Thank you. I will now move on to item 6, returning officers' fees and disbursements. I'll formally move the recommendation which is set out in the report. Deputy Mayor, will you second?
Formally, Mayor.
Chief Executive, I understand there's no speakers.
That is correct, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor, please can you confirm those who've given us to speak?
We have no one registered to speak on this riveting subject, Mayor, but if anyone would like to, could they raise their hands?
No, that's fine. So do any councillors wish to dissent or abstain? Then the council has agreed. Thank you. Moving on to item 7, which is appointment of co-opted member of standards. I'll formally move the recommendation which is set on the report. Deputy Mayor, will you second?
Formally, Mayor.
Chief Executive, I understand there's no public speakers.
That's correct, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor, can you confirm councillors who've given notice?
We have no one wishing to speak on this equally riveting subject. Does anyone wish to? Please raise your hands. No.
I wonder about you sometimes. Do any councillors wish to dissent or abstain? Then the council has agreed.
So is my wife.
Yeah. Item 8 is annual pay policy statement. I formally move the recommendation, which is the council approve the policy pay statement. Deputy Mayor, will you second?
Formally, Mayor.
Chief Executive, I understand there's no public speakers.
That's correct, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor, please can you confirm those councillors who've given notice?
Unsurprisingly, we have no one wishing to speak on this, but the night is still young, so you may raise your hands if you wish to speak. No.
Thank you. Do any councillors wish to dissent or abstain? Then the council has agreed. Thank you. We're moving on to item 9, which is ward-based budgets. This has been circulated as a late paper and has also been uploaded to the meeting page on modern.gov. I'm pleased to confirm that £53,680.10 was distributed in ward-based budgets this year. Thank you, Ed. Is the report noted? And can I please place on record my thanks to Siobhan Pitkin and her team for processing these applications, particularly given that over 30% of the applications were submitted in the last week. I agree. Thank you. Item 10 is the Quad report on special urgency. Is the report noted?
Noted.
Thank you. So this is our final council meeting of the year, and so I'd like to acknowledge all those councillors who will be standing down on the 11th of May. I'm not going to call out names, but can we give a round of applause for their efforts? And lastly, I want to thank you all for most of you behaving this year as I've been the mayor during the meetings. This is my final one to sign off. I've enjoyed every second of it, most of the time especially having to listen to him, but of course he's been a great deputy and I wanted to acknowledge that. So that is all the business to be considered at this meeting. I therefore declare the meeting closed at 22:04.